The needle pierced Isabella's thumb for the third time. Blood dotted the calico, her last decent dress. Outside, creditor's boots scraped against the porch boards. 3 months since father died. The debts had eaten everything. The labor exchange platform reeked of sour sweat and desperation. Men circled, calculating. Mr. Hutchins held up the ledger. Isabella Moore, debt of $47, available for labor contract. Someone lifted her hair, sniffed it like testing horse quality. Her stomach clenched. 3 bags of cornmeal, the auctioneer called. Fair trade for domestic service. The saloon owner stepped forward, fingers reaching for her chin. Isabella jerked back. Too proud for honest work. He spat tobacco juice near her feet. The crowd murmured agreement. Poor Moore girl. Too poor to marry. Too proud to bend. Then the crowd went silent. Boot steps different. Measured approached the platform. The townspeople parted like wheat before wind. Before we continue, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. The man stood 6 feet tall, dark hair tied back with leather cord. Apache. The word rippled through the crowd in hissed whispers. Women pulled their children closer. Men's hands drifted toward hip holsters. He wore trader cloth, a blue shirt, canvas pants, but the silver conchos on his belt caught morning light. His boots left different marks in the dust, softer, like he knew where to step. You selling her labor? His English came slow, deliberate, not broken, careful. Mr. Hutchins shifted the ledger against his chest. This is a civilized exchange. We don't— I asked about labor. The Apache man's eyes stayed on Hutchins. I need someone who knows English, knows frontier medicine. Isabella's knees locked. The platform boards creaked under her shift in weight. The saloon owner shouldered forward. Now wait just a— $47. The Apache man pulled a leather pouch from his belt. Coins clinked. Real coins. Plus 3 bags cornmeal for your trouble. The crowd pressed closer. Isabella smelled their excitement sharp, like metal in the mouth. Mr. Hutchins opened the ledger. Pen scratching. Name: Thomas Redhawk. More scratching. Purpose of labor: teaching, healing, household. The marshal stepped onto the platform, badge glinting. Apache can't just— Territory law says different. Tomas's voice stayed level. Unless you changed it this morning. The marshal's jaw worked. No words came. Isabella watched Tomas turn toward her, not looking at her legs or chest or hair, looking at her face. Her actual face. You know plants medicine. Her throat clicked dry. My mother taught— Good. He turned back to Hutchins. We done? The banker's pen hovered. The crowd held its breath. Even the wind stopped. Done. Hutchins slammed the ledger shut. Thomas stepped closer to the platform. This close. Isabella saw the scar across his left eyebrow. Old. White against brown skin. You choose this, he asked her directly. Not Hutchins, not the marshal. Her. The saloon owner grabbed her wrist. Girl doesn't know what she's— Isabella yanked free. Her palm stung from the force. Yes. Tomas nodded once. Get your things. She climbed down from the platform. Her legs shook, but held. Behind her, someone muttered about savages and Christian women. Mrs. Henderson rushed forward, gripping Isabella's shoulders. Child, you don't understand what they do to— What? Isabella pulled away. What's worse than this? Mrs. Henderson's mouth opened, closed. Then Isabella saw the wagon, 2 horses, supplies covered in canvas. He'd come prepared to leave immediately. Isabella's room sat above the dry goods store 8 feet by 10, rent 2 weeks overdue. The stairs groaned under her weight. Behind her, boots followed. Mrs. Henderson, breathing hard through her mouth. You don't have to do this. Mrs. Henderson's fingers caught Isabella's sleeve. Mr. Whitman at the bank might— what? Isabella pulled free, pushed open the door. Offer me work scrubbing floors. Already did. $1 a week won't cover father's interest. The room smelled like mold and kerosene. 2 dresses hung on nails. Mother's medicine bag sat on the windowsill. Leather cracked but intact. Father's surveying journal lay beneath the thin mattress. Isabella pulled the first dress down, brown wool, patched at both elbows. The second came next, faded blue calico with careful darns along the hem. She folded them tight, edges aligned. That Apache man. Mrs. Henderson stood in the doorway, blocking light. They take white women for teaching English. Isabella opened Mother's medicine bag. Glass bottles clinked. Willow bark, feverfew, golden seal root she'd gathered last autumn. For healing. Child, you can't believe. I believe he paid cash. Isabella pulled Father's journal free. The leather binding held surveyor's notes, sketches of water flow, soil types, things that mattered once. Real money, not promises. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy. Male. Mr. Hutchins appeared behind Mrs. Henderson. Your escort's waiting. Isabella tied her possessions in Mother's old shawl. 3 minutes to pack a life. The medicine bag went in last. Bottles wrapped to prevent breaking. They descended single file. Isabella in front. Bundle clutched against her ribs. The street had filled with watchers. Women pressed handkerchiefs to mouths. Men stood with arms crossed, faces dark. Tomas waited by the wagon. He'd loaded sacks of flour, beans, salt. A water barrel stood secured with rope. 2 rifles rested in leather scabbards. That all? He nodded at her bundle. Yes. He took it, placed it carefully in the wagon bed. Not thrown. Placed. The journey takes 3 days. His hands moved efficiently, checking rope tensions. You ridin' back first day. Less sun. The saloon owner pushed through the crowd. Marshal, you're witnessing this, a Christian woman. Getting paid work. Tomas didn't turn around. Legal work. Isabella climbed into the wagon. The bed held blankets, a cast-iron pot, bags of something that smelled like dried meat. She settled against the flour sacks. They gave slightly under her weight. Tomas swung up onto the driver's bench. The reins looked small in his hands. This ain't over, the saloon owner called. People gonna hear about this. Good. Tomas clicked his tongue. The horses moved. The wagon wheels ground against packed dirt. Isabella watched the town shrink. The church steeple, the bank's painted sign, the platform where she'd stood 20 minutes ago. Mrs. Henderson ran alongside for several steps. If you need help, if you escape. The wagon pulled ahead. Mrs. Henderson stopped. Hand pressed to her side. Isabella turned forward. The road stretched toward mountains she'd seen every day but never approached. Blue-gray peaks with snow despite the season. The wagon bed swayed. Each bump traveled up through the flour sacks into her spine. She shifted, found a depression that fit her hips. There's water in the canteen. Tomas spoke without turning. Food in the wrapped bundle. Isabella found both. The canteen was army issue, dented. The bundle held dried meat, tough and salty, pemmican. She'd heard the word but never tasted it. Fat and meat and something else, berries maybe, tart. The town disappeared behind a rise. Empty land now, scattered juniper, red earth. The wheels kicked up dust that tasted like copper pennies. Sun climbed higher. The wagon's canvas provided shade but trapped heat. Sweat collected under Isabella's collar, between her breasts. She loosened the top button. No one to see except him, and he faced forward. They stopped at midday beside a creek. Tomas unhitched the horses, led them to water. Isabella climbed down, legs stiff. The ground felt uncertain after the wagon's motion. Stretch if you need. Tomas filled the canteens. Long way yet. Isabella walked to the creek's edge. Clear water ran over colored stones. She cupped some, splashed her face. Cold, clean. Not like town water that tasted of pipes. Why did you come to the exchange? The question escaped before she could stop it. Tomas looked up from the horses. Needed help. But why there? Why? She gestured at herself. White people always selling each other. He checked the horses' hooves, picking out stones. Just usually call it different names. The horses drank. Water dripped from their mouths, caught sunlight. Your mother taught medicine, Tomas asked. Plants, remedies. She learned from her grandmother in Ohio. He nodded. Might be useful. They traveled until sunset painted the rocks orange. Tomas chose a spot between two large boulders, protection from wind. He unhitched horses, started a fire with practice ease. Sparks caught in dried grass, fed with twigs, then branches. You take the wagon tonight? He laid out a bedroll near the fire. Safer. Isabella watched him work. Each movement had purpose. No wasted effort. The fire settled into steady heat. She climbed back into the wagon. The blanket smelled like sage and smoke. Through the canvas opening, stars emerged, more than she'd ever seen in town. The sky went on forever. Her chest expanded, contracted, expanded again. Something loose in there, like rope uncoiling. Mr. Redhawk. Just Tomas. How far to your people? 2 more days, into the mountains. The fire popped. Sparks rose, died. They know you're bringing me. Silence. Long enough that she wondered if he'd fallen asleep. They know I went for help. Not an answer. Not really. Isabella pulled the blanket higher. The temperature had dropped 20 degrees since sunset. Desert cold, sharp and clean. Through the canvas, she counted stars until her eyes burned, then counted more. Tomas's breathing changed, went deeper, sleep breathing. She turned onto her side, body curved against flour sacks. Mother's medicine bag pressed against her ribs through the bundle. A coyote called, far off. Another answered, closer. Tomas's breathing didn't change. The third day's sun beat different. Thinner air at elevation. Isabella's lips cracked despite the bear grease Tomas had given her that morning. The horse's breathing changed shorter pulls, working harder. The wagon tilted up, wheels grinding against loose shale. Isabella gripped the sideboard. Through gaps in the canvas, she glimpsed pine trees, actual green after 2 days of red rock and gray sage. Close now? Tomas's voice carried back. Dogs barked first, then children's voices. High and rapid in words Isabella didn't know. The wagon crested a rise. The settlement spread across a natural bowl in the mountains, not teepees like the picture book showed. Dome structures covered with brush and canvas. Some had wooden doors traded or salvaged. Smoke rose from multiple fires. The smell hit wood smoke. Meat cooking, something earthy like tanned hide. People emerged. Women with babies and cradle boards. Men carrying tools axes. Leather-working awls. Children peering from behind mothers' skirts. Everyone stopped working. Watched. The wagon rolled past the first dwelling. A woman grinding something in a stone bowl stood up, pestle still in hand. Her eyes tracked Isabella through the canvas gap. More structures. Maybe 20 families. Gardens scratched into the dirt corn stalks. Bean vines climbing poles. A horse corral made from juniper branches lashed together. Tomas stopped near the center of the settlement. He climbed down. Spoke in Apache to a man who approached. The words came fast, fluid. The man answered, gesturing at the wagon. At Isabella. She sat still. Sweat pooled at the base of her spine. A woman approached the wagon's rear, younger than Isabella expected, maybe 25. Her hair hung in 2 braids wrapped with red cloth. She wore a cotton blouse, traded goods, but a traditional hide skirt decorated with tin cones that clicked when she moved. You are the teacher English, accented but clear. Yes, I am Maria, sister to Tomas. She studied Isabella's face. You are scared. not a question. Should I be? Maria's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Come down. Isabella climbed out. Her legs shook from 3 days of wagon travel. The ground felt too solid. More people gathered. An old woman with silver hair walked forward, back straight despite her age. She spoke to Tomas. Sharp words. He answered, voice level. The old woman turned to Isabella. Her face had deep lines, skin like worked leather. She reached out, took Isabella's hand, turned it over, examined the calluses from sewing, from scrubbing, from trying to keep father's house after mother died. Ayana. The old woman pointed to herself, then spoke in Apache, long sentences. Thomas translated. She says you have working hands. That's good. Soft hands are useless here. Ayana squeezed Isabella's fingers once. Let go. Maria touched Isabella's elbow. Come, I show you where you stay. They walked past curious faces. Children followed at a distance, whispering. One boy, maybe 6, came closer. Maria spoke sharply. He retreated but kept watching. The dwelling sat slightly apart, smaller than the others, maybe 10 feet across. The doorway hung with a blanket instead of wood. Inside, a fire pit in the center, smoke hole above, packed earth floor covered with woven mats, a raised platform of lashed branches for sleeping. This was... Maria paused. Someone who is gone. You stay here. Isabella set down her bundle. The space smelled like old smoke and sage. Water is there. Maria pointed to clay vessels near the door. Not much. We teach you to use careful... She demonstrated, poured water from the large olla into a smaller bowl, just enough to wet a cloth, wiped her hands, her face. The water that remained maybe 2 mouthfuls she poured back. Never waste. Never. Isabella copied the movements. The cloth came away brown with trail dust. Tomorrow, you learn more. Maria moved to leave. Stopped. Thomas says you know plants medicine. Some? Good. We need... She lifted the door blanket. Food soon. Center fire. Alone. Isabella examined her new space. The sleeping platform held folded blankets not soft, but clean. A basket in the corner contained something. She looked closer. Dried corn. A handful of beans. Basic rations. She unpacked. 2 dresses on wooden pegs hammered into the wall posts. Mother's medicine bag on a flat stone that served as a shelf. Father's journal beside it. Outside, voices rose and fell. Children laughed. A baby cried, was hushed. Normal sounds, just in a language she didn't know. The door blanket moved. A child peered in a girl, maybe 4. Round face, suspicious eyes. Isabella stayed still. The girl crept forward, reached toward the medicine bag. Careful, Isabella said softly. The girl jerked back, ran. Isabella's stomach cramped. Hunger. The pemmican had run out that morning. She ventured outside. The sun sat low, painting the mountains purple. People gathered around a large fire pit. Women stirred pots. Men sat in groups, talking. Children ran between them. Isabella approached slowly. Conversations quieted. Maria appeared, handed her a wooden bowl. Sit. Isabella lowered herself to the ground, cross-legged like the other women. Her skirt pulled tight across her knees. A woman ladled something into Isabella's bowl. Stew corn, beans, meat she couldn't identify. The smell made her stomach clench with want. She looked for utensils, saw none. Others ate with their fingers, using flat bread to scoop. Isabella tried. The bread tore. Stew dripped onto her skirt. Children giggled. An old woman, not Ayana. Another moved closer, demonstrated. Fold the bread. Cup it. Quick to mouth. Isabella mimicked. better. Not good, but better. The meat was rabbit, tender, flavored with something unfamiliar. She ate everything, scraped the bowl with bread until wood showed through. Ayana watched from across the fire, said something to the woman beside her. Both looked at Isabella. Tomas sat with the men, separate. He glanced over once, brief, looked away. Full dark came. The fire burned lower. People drifted to their dwellings. Isabella started to rise. Maria stopped her. Help clean. They gathered bowls, carried them to a washing area, a flat stone with drainage channels carved in. Maria showed her the process. Sand for scrubbing, minimal water for rinsing. Yucca root pounded into suds. You waste water in white towns. Maria worked beside her. Pour it on ground like nothing. I didn't have much water either. After father stopped working. Maria paused. No money, no water. Had to haul it from the public well, 5 blocks. Then, Maria handed her another bowl. Good. They worked in rhythm. Scrub, rinse, stack. The last pot required both of them to carry. Isabella's hands burned from the yucca soap. Strong, stripping. Her skin would crack by morning. They returned to the dying fire. Only embers now. Maria pointed to Isabella's dwelling. Sleep. Tomorrow. Much work. Isabella walked back alone. The settlement had gone quiet. A dog barked once, went silent. Through the dwelling doorways, she saw flickers of small fires, heard low voices, families settling. Her dwelling sat dark. She felt along the wall for the blankets, wrapped one around her shoulders. The sleeping platform creaked under her weight. Through the smoke hole, stars showed. Different constellations at this elevation, or maybe the same ones, just clearer. Her body ached. 3 days in the wagon. The evening's work, but also something else. A loosening in her chest, like stays being unlaced. She closed her eyes, heard footsteps outside. Quiet, deliberate. They stopped at her doorway. The blanket door didn't move, just breathing on the other side. Waiting. Isabella sat up, heart hammering. Who's there? No answer. But the breathing continued. Then footsteps again, moving away. She waited, counted to 100, peered around the door blanket. Nothing. Empty space. But in the dirt, fresh boot prints. Large, man-sized. Not Tomas's pattern. She'd memorized his boots over 3 days. Someone else then. Watching. Morning came with women's voices. Low, steady talk while grinding corn. The rhythm of stone on stone. Isabella's hands had cracked overnight. The yucca soap had stripped them raw. She traced the splits with her tongue. Tasted copper. Outside her dwelling, the boot prints remained. Fainter now. Dust drifting across them, but visible. She followed them 3 steps before they merged with other tracks near the central fire pit. Maria appeared carrying a water gourd. You come. They walked past the cooking fires to a structure larger than the others. Canvas roof stretched over a wooden frame. Inside, bundles hung from the rafters, plants drying. The smell hit thick. Sage. Something minty. Pine pitch. And underneath it all, a sweetness like dried flowers. Ayana sat on the packed earth floor, sorting leaves into separate baskets. She spoke without looking up. Maria translated. She says, look at these. Tell what you know. Isabella knelt beside the baskets. The first held willow bark, silver gray and papery. She touched it, brought it to her nose. For fever, pain, my mother boiled it into tea. Maria translated. Ayana nodded, moved to the next basket. These leaves were smaller, serrated edges. Isabella rubbed one between her fingers. The smell rose sharp. Feverfew, headaches. Mother used it for women's monthly troubles too. Ayana's eyes sharpened. She spoke rapidly to Maria. She wants to know what else for women. Isabella pointed to dried raspberry leaves in another basket. These for childbirth. Makes it easier. And this? She indicated a bundle of dried stalks. Angelica? For after? Helps the bleeding stop? Ayana stood, walked to the hanging bundles, pulled one down. Dark roots, twisted like fingers. Isabella took one, scraped the surface with her thumbnail. Bitter smell. Golden seal, infections, wounds that won't heal. The old woman spoke at length. Maria's translation came in pieces. She says, "Your mother learned from someone who knew. The old ways before white ways came. Her grandmother, from Ohio, before it was Ohio." Ayana touched Isabella's cracked hands, spoke short words. Maria fetched a small pot, dark salve inside, smelled like pine tar and animal fat. Ayana demonstrated tiny amount, worked into the splits. The relief came immediate, not healing, but protection, sealing. They worked through morning. Ayana showed Apache preparations, how to pound roots into powder, extract oils using heated stones. Isabella showed her mother's method for tinctures using what little alcohol traders brought. The sun climbed to midpoint when a woman burst in, carrying a child, maybe 7 years old. The boy's leg swelled purple-black above the ankle. 2 puncture marks. Ayana moved fast, spoke sharp commands. Maria grabbed a specific bundle. Another woman appeared with hot water. Isabella recognized the bite pattern. Rattlesnake. Yes. Maria's hands shook slightly. His name Samuel. My cousin's boy. Ayana made a cut above the wound. Not deep. Enough to bleed. She sucked. Spat into a bowl. Dark fluid. Again. Again. Isabella opened her mother's medicine bag. Found the vial she wanted. Plantain leaves. Powdered fine. Mixed with clay. What are you doing? Maria asked. Drawing poison. My mother's way. She mixed the powder with water. Made a paste. Ayana watched, still sucking and spitting. Isabella showed the mixture. Ayana nodded. Isabella spread the paste around the punctures. The clay would dry, pull toxins out. Mother had saved a child this way once. The memory came clear. Kitchen table. Lamplight. The child's father pacing. Ayana spoke to the boy in Apache. Soothing sounds. His breathing came too fast, shallow, shock. Isabella found another vial. Valerian root. For calm. Slows the blood. Poison moves slower. Maria translated. Ayana considered, then nodded. They worked together. Ayana with her knife and sucking. Isabella applying fresh poultices as the clay darkened with drawn poison. The boy's mother held his head, sang something low and repetitive. The swelling peaked, stopped spreading, started to recede. 2 hours. 3. The boy slept now. Valerian and exhaustion combining. His breathing steadied. The purple faded to red, then pink. Ayana sat back. Sweat covered her face. She spoke to Isabella. Direct. No translation needed. The nod said enough. The boy's mother grabbed Isabella's hands, pressed them to her own face. Tears wet Isabella's cracked palms. Word spread. By evening, people looked at Isabella different. Not suspicious. Curious. At the night fire. A space opened beside Maria. Isabella sat. Her bowl filled fuller than the previous night. Extra meat. Samuel sleeps, Maria said. Fever broke. The swelling. Going down. They ate. Isabella managed the bread better, only a little stew on her skirt. Thomas appeared across the fire. First time she'd seen him since arrival. He sat with the men, but his position angled toward her. When their eyes met, he nodded. Small, but there. The fire burned lower. Families drifted away. Maria left to check Samuel. Isabella stayed, not ready for her empty dwelling. Tomas moved around the fire, sat an arm's length away, close enough to talk low, far enough for proper. Maria says you helped save the boy. Ayana saved him. I just knew a different way. Sometimes different ways work together. Silence. Fire pop. Sparks rising. Why did you need a teacher? Isabella asked. Maria speaks English well. She has other work, and children need to learn from someone. He paused. Someone who knows only English, makes them focus. Made sense, but felt like half an answer. Your wife. The words escaped before thought. Maria mentioned 2 winters ago. His voice stayed level. Birth fever. The baby too. Isabella's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Your parents. Mother 3 years back. Wasting sickness. Father. After that he stopped. Everything. Drank until his liver quit. Tomas picked up a stick, poked the embers. Losing breaks people different ways. How did you not break? He looked at her then. Direct. Who says I didn't? The fire collapsed into itself. New sparks, new heat from exposed coals. Is that why you came to the exchange? Broken people recognize each other. Maybe. He stood. Or maybe I just needed help. He walked away, stopped after 5 steps, turned back. The one watching your dwelling. His name is Marcus, cousin to my wife. He thinks. Pause. Thinks wrong things. I told him to stop. Will he? Tonight? Yes. Later? Tomas shrugged. Lock your door. I'll put a bolt on tomorrow. He left. Isabella sat alone with dying fire. The stars showed clear. The temperature dropped fast at this elevation. She wrapped her arms around her knees. Someone coughed behind her. She turned. A man stood 10 feet back. Young, maybe 20. Wide shoulders. Handsome in a hard way. Marcus. He said something in Apache. Smiled. Not friendly. Isabella stood. Started toward her dwelling. He followed. Not close, but followed. She walked faster. He matched pace. Her doorway ahead. The blanket hanging loose. No lock. No bolt until tomorrow. Marcus spoke again, laughing under the words. Isabella reached her door, turned. He stood there, still 10 feet back, still smiling, waiting. She went inside, pulled the blanket tight, wished for wood, for metal, for anything solid. His shadow fell across the blanket, standing just outside, breathing. Then Maria's voice, sharp, angry, rapid Apache that sounded like cursing. Marcus answered, defensive. More voices. Women. Several of them. The shadow moved away. Maria pushed aside the blanket. 3 women stood behind her. We take turns tonight, watching. I don't need... Yes. You do. Maria's face looked carved from stone. Some men think a woman alone is... She switched to Apache, spat the words. Tomorrow, Tomas puts a lock. Tonight, we watch. She left. But outside, Isabella heard them. Women's voices, low conversation, guards. She lay on the platform, pulled blankets high. Through the smoke hole, clouds crossed stars. The boot prints this morning. Marcus watching. The women outside. And tomorrow, teaching children whose language she didn't speak. If she survived tonight, a stick snapped outside. Close. The women's voices stopped. 3 weeks passed. The bolt Tomas installed held strong. Marcus kept his distance, though his eyes followed when Isabella crossed the settlement. The teaching had found rhythm. Mornings with children, 8 of them, ages 5 to 12. They sat on woven mats in the shade structure, repeated English words while Isabella pointed at objects. Rock, water, hand, sky. Little Samuel attended now. Snakebite healed to pink scars. He learned fastest, already stringing words together. I want water. Give me rock. This morning felt different. The children fidgeted, kept looking west. Maria entered the teaching shelter. Stop lessons. Meeting now. They gathered at the central fire pit. All the adults, even the men who normally left early to hunt or check trap lines. Ayana stood in the center with 2 other elders, men with faces mapped by decades of sun. One elder pointed at the mountains, spoke in Apache, voice urgent. People murmured, shifted weight foot to foot. Maria translated beside Isabella. The birds, leaving too early. See? Isabella looked where he pointed. Black specks moving south, many of them. Ravens. Yes, and hawks. They know. The elder spoke more, gestured at the ground, the sky, made shapes with his hands. Spring's getting low, grass brown too soon. Clouds come but don't give rain. Maria's voice tightened. Drought coming. Ayana spoke. Her words made several women touch the medicine bags at their waists. Last drought, 8 winters ago. Half our people died. Children first, then elders. Isabella's stomach clenched. She'd lived through lean times, but never drought. In town, there'd always been the river, low sometimes, but never dry. The discussion grew heated. Men argued about leaving, finding better territory. Women argued about staying, protecting established gardens. Thomas stood. The arguing stopped. We prepare. Here. This is our place. He looked around the circle. Everyone works. Everyone. Tasks distributed quickly. Men would dig deeper wells. Women would gather everything edible before it died. Children would help seal water vessels with pine pitch. Isabella found herself assigned to Tomas and 3 other men. Water storage improvement. They walked to the storage area, a natural depression in the rock where they'd built adobe walls to hold rainwater. The pool sat half full, should be completely full this time of year. Tomas ran his hand along the wall. Dry adobe crumbled. Leaks. Losing water we can't spare. One of the men, Joseph, spat tobacco juice. Need more adobe, but making adobe needs water. Circle problem. No solution. Isabella knelt beside the pool, touched the bottom, silt, clay underneath. She scraped some up, rolled it between her fingers. In town? She stopped. These men didn't want town solutions. What? Tomas crouched beside her. When we couldn't afford proper vessels, we lined baskets with clay, pressed grass into it, made them hold water. Joseph laughed. Not kind. Baskets? You want to store survival water in baskets. No, but same principle. Isabella stood. Dust from her skirt caught wind. Line the whole pool. Clay mixed with grass. Pine pitch on top. The men exchanged looks. Tomas grabbed a handful of clay. Show us. They worked through noon heat. Isabella demonstrated the mixture: clay, dried grass, small amount of precious water to bind it. Pressed flat, layer after layer, her dress soaked through with sweat. Salt stung her eyes. The men worked alongside, following her lead. Joseph stopped complaining after the first section held water without seeping. Where you learn this? He pressed another handful of mixture into a crack. Necessity. Isabella's back screamed from bending. When you have nothing, You learn to make nothing work. Sun peaked. Shadows disappeared. The temperature hit brutal. Isabella reached for the water gourd. Her foot slipped on loose shale. The clay-covered rock offered no grip. She pitched sideways toward the pool's edge, jagged rocks below. Her knee hit stone. Skin tore through fabric. Tomas caught her arm, pulled her upright. His hand stayed a moment after she found balance. Calloused palm against her bare forearm where the sleeve had torn. Careful. He let go. Slow. Blood ran from her knee. Not bad, but it would stiffen by evening. They returned to work. Nobody mentioned the catch, the touch, but Joseph's expression had shifted. Less hostility, more curiosity. By late afternoon, they'd lined a third of the pool. The sections held water, no seepage. Walking back, Isabella counted inventory in her head. Food they had, gardens still producing. But water. How long can we last if the rains don't come? Thomas calculated. 2 months, maybe 3 if we're careful. That's not enough. No. They reached the center of settlement. Women had laid out gathered plants to dry. Agave hearts, cactus pads, seed pods Isabella didn't recognize. Everything edible or medicinal. Maria approached carrying a large basket. You know this. She showed the contents. Some kind of root, white and fleshy. Isabella shook her head. Yucca root. Eat it roasted. Also make soap, but not now. No washing until rain comes. No washing. In this heat. The smell would be unbearable within a week. Ayana appeared, spoke to Tomas, pointed at Isabella. She wants you at elder meeting. Tomas translated. Tonight. Me, why? You survived poor. That's knowledge now. After evening meal, smaller portions already, Isabella sat with the elders. 7 of them. Faces carved by years of survival. Tomas translated. They wanted to know about hunger. Real hunger. How long bodies could last. What to eat when food ran out. How to divide nothing among many. Isabella told them about the winter after mother died. Father drinking away the money. Eating 1 meal every other day. Boiling leather for the tiny amount of nutrition. Mixing sawdust with the last flour to make it stretch. Children get half portions, she said. Adults quarter. Elders who volunteer can go without. One elder shook his head, spoke at length. He says elders have wisdom. Need to survive. Wisdom doesn't help if children die. Isabella met the old man's eyes. I watched 3 families in town lose babies that winter. Parents lived, buried their children. That's not survival. Silence. Ayana spoke. Others nodded. She agrees, Tomas said. Children first. They talked until the fire died to embers. Rationing plans. Signs to watch for when bodies started shutting down. Who would likely fail first? Isabella drew diagrams in the dirt. How to divide provisions by weeks, not days. People ate more when they could see food daily. Weekly distribution made them careful. The meeting ended. Elders dispersed to their dwellings. Isabella stayed by the dead fire, too tired to move. Tomas sat beside her, same distance as before, proper. But there, that knowledge, from poverty, it's valuable. Valuable, Isabella laughed, no humor in it. 3 years ago I was worthless because I had nothing. Now I have worth because I know nothing. You know how to survive nothing. That's everything. Wind rose, different than morning wind. This carried dust, grit that stuck to sweaty skin. Isabella watched it swirl. My grandmother used to say, drought wind feels angry, like the earth's mad at the sky. A dust devil formed in the distance, spinning, growing. Isabella tracked its path. We survived poverty, she said. Father and I, even when we had nothing, we found ways to stretch it into something. She turned to Tomas. But we had the river, always had water. We'll find ways. What if there aren't any? Tomas watched the dust devil collapse. Reformed. Collapsed again. Then we learn what's past surviving. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Tomas pointed to her torn knee. Blood had dried black. Needs cleaning. Maria said no washing. Wounds are different. Infection kills faster than thirst. He stood, offered his hand. Isabella took it, let him pull her up. Their hands held a moment past necessary. At her dwelling. Tomas heated water over the small fire. Added something from a leather pouch, herbs that smelled sharp, medicinal. Learned this from my grandmother. He handed her the warm cloth. Prevents the red strings. Isabella cleaned the wound, winced at the sting. The herbs burned but clean, not like infection burn. Your wife. The words came without planning. Did she know these medicines? Some. She was learning when. He stopped, started again. When the birth came early, you tried to save her with medicine. Tried everything, Apache ways, Mexican ways from traders, even rode to town. Brought white doctor. His voice went flat. Nothing worked. Isabella wrapped her knee with cloth torn from her petticoat. The wound throbbed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Is that why you went to the exchange? Thought someone who knew different medicine might help next time. There won't be a next time. But I meant help the people. The tribe? Not. He stood abruptly. Lock your door. He left. Isabella barred the door behind him. Through the smoke hole. No stars tonight. Clouds or dust, she couldn't tell. She lay on the platform, knee pulsing, mind racing through inventory lists, rationing plans. Outside. Wind grew stronger. Sand hit the dwelling walls. The whole structure creaked. Then, through the wind, a sound that didn't belong. Horses. Many of them. Moving fast, getting closer. Isabella sat up. Horses meant traders, or soldiers, or raiders. The settlement dogs erupted, barking, snarling. Men's voices rose, shouting, but not in Apache, in Spanish. The Spanish voices faded with dawn. Traders, Tomas explained later, looking to buy horses, found none worth their silver and left before full light. Isabella hadn't slept after they departed. Door barred, knife from the kitchen supplies in her hand. Useless, probably, but the wait felt necessary. Now, 2 weeks since the trader disruption, the real enemy showed itself. The spring had turned to mud. Isabella knelt beside what had been their secondary water source. Her fingers pressed into sludge that clung like paste. Underneath, maybe 6 inches down, moisture, not water, moisture. A horse stood nearby, one of the pack animals. Its ribs showed through patchy hide. The animal lowered its head, sniffed the mud, turned away. Even they know it's done. Joseph squatted beside her. Different man than before. The hostility gone, replaced by something worse. Fear. They'd already lost 2 horses. Found them down in the morning. Tongues swollen. Flies gathering. Isabella scraped mud aside, cupped the pitiful accumulation of liquid, maybe 3 tablespoons, tasted it mineral thick, bitter with concentrated salts. Can't drink this. Can't drink nothing either. Joseph stood, knees popping. Main pool's down to quarter, maybe less. They walked back. The sun hit different now. Meaner. The earth had baked to concrete hardness. Each footstep raised dust that hung in still air. At the central fire, no fire anymore. Couldn't spare wood for anything but essential cooking. Maria sorted beans, each pile exactly measured. Isabella recognized the system. Same one she'd drawn in the dirt weeks ago. 47 people, Maria said without looking up. Quarter cup beans per adult per day. Children get third cup, nursing mothers half. That's not enough calories. Nothing is enough now. Maria's hands never stopped moving. Sort, measure, separate. But it's equal not enough. Isabella picked up a bean that had rolled away. Withered thing. Wormhole through the middle. Added it back to the pile. Everything counted now. Ayana approached carrying the medicine bag. Lighter than before. They'd been treating heat exhaustion, dehydration headaches, the stomach cramps that came from eating cactus flesh for moisture. 3 sick, Maria translated. 2 children, 1 elder. Same symptoms. Weakness, confusion, dark urine, kidney stress. Isabella had seen it that last winter in town. Bodies shutting down, redirecting resources to vital organs. She followed Ayana to the sick dwelling. The smell hit first concentrated urine, sweat gone sour, 3 pallets on the ground. An old man, maybe 70. 2 girls, sisters by their similar faces, 8 and 10 maybe. Isabella checked the elder first. Pulse too fast. Skin stayed tented when she pinched it. Severe dehydration. How much water? Maria translated the answer. Half cup yesterday. None today yet. He needs more. Everyone needs more. Isabella moved to the girls. Same symptoms, but worse. Children crashed faster. Their mother sat between them, dripping tiny amounts of water between cracked lips from a soaked cloth. Tell her to add salt, pinch of salt to the water, and honey if we have any. No honey. Used it all last week. Isabella opened her medicine bag, found the bottle she wanted. Maple syrup, brought from town, last of her mother's batch. She'd been saving it for absolute emergency. This qualified. Mix this, 1 part syrup, 10 parts water, pinch of salt. The mother's eyes went wide at the syrup. Luxury beyond measure, she mixed it carefully, fed it to her daughters drop by drop. Within an hour, the girl's eyes focused better. The elder took longer but finally kept water down. Isabella emerged from the sick dwelling to find Tomas and 20 others gathered. Argument in progress. Marcus led one faction, gesturing south. Others pointed north, everyone talking over each other. What's happening? Maria pulled her aside. Some want to leave, find water elsewhere. Others say moving will kill us faster. Marcus switched to English, looking straight at Isabella. White woman brings curse. Drought follows her kind. Drought started before she came. Tomas's voice stayed level, but his hand rested on his knife. Got worse after. Everything gets worse in drought. Marcus stepped closer to Tomas. Your judgment clouds. Everyone sees why. Silence stretched. Men shifted positions, taking sides. Isabella moved between them. I survived 3 months on nothing but sawdust bread and boiled leather. Want to know how? Marcus sneered. White town magic. Math. Isabella grabbed a stick, drew in the dust. Body needs minimum calories to function. 800 for adults if they don't move much. 1,000 for workers. Children need 600. She kept drawing. Columns. Numbers. We have approximately 4,000 pounds of food stored. Divided by 47 people over 60 days means 24 ounces per person per day. That's about 1,100 calories if it's beans and corn. More scratching and dust. But, she looked up. If we reduce to 800 calories for adults, 600 for children, 500 for elders who volunteer, we stretch to 90 days. 3 months, Joseph calculated. Rains might come by then. Might, Isabella stood. Or might not. But moving takes calories. Extra thousands per person. Moving kills us in 30 days. Staying might let us reach rains. Arguing erupted again, but different. About her numbers now, not her presence. Tomas raised his hand. Quiet returned. We vote. Hands raised for staying. 31. For leaving. 12. Marcus and 4 others abstained. But they didn't leave. Yet. That night. No communal meal. couldn't spare the central fire. Families ate cold rations in their dwellings. Isabella sat outside her door measuring tomorrow's bean allocation into small cloth bundles. Her knee had healed but left a pink scar that pulled when she moved. Footsteps approached. Tomas's pattern now familiar. He sat an arm's length away, back against her dwelling wall. Marcus backed down. For now. For now. He watched her sort beans. That math. Where did you learn? Father was a surveyor. Taught me calculations. Before Mother died. Before he found whiskey easier than grief. Tomas picked up a bean that had escaped, rolled it between his fingers. My wife hated beans, said they tasted like surrender. What did she like? Venison with juniper berries, fresh corn cakes, honey on everything. His voice softened. Spring water, cold from the mountain. They sat quiet. Wind had died. No dust tonight, just heat radiating from baked earth. I dream about water. Isabella didn't mean to say it aloud. Everyone does now. No, before. In town. Dreamed about drowning. Too much water. Now I dream about drowning in dust. Tomas shifted. Closer but not improper. My grandmother told stories about a hidden spring, sacred place, water that never fails. Stories. Maybe. But the old maps. He pulled a folded paper from his shirt. Found this in Spanish records. Agua secreta, secret water. Isabella leaned in to see. Their shoulders touched. The map showed mountains, markers, something that might be water symbols. How far? Day's walk. Maybe more. If it exists. And if not, then we know. She traced the route with her finger. Tomorrow, before dawn, you and me. Why me? You see different. Like with the clay lining. Maybe you see what we missed. Isabella folded the last bean bundle. 47 perfect portions. Tomorrow's survival measured in handfuls. The girls will live. The elder too. Because you gave your syrup. Because salt and sugar water works. Medicine, not sacrifice. Tomas stood, offered his hand. She took it. Let him pull her up. This time their hands held longer. His thumb traced her palm. Just once. Light as dust. Before dawn? He said. I'll be ready. He walked away. Stopped. Turned back. Marcus is wrong. You don't bring curses. What do I bring? He considered. Chance. Isabella went inside, barred the door, lay on her platform fully dressed. Through the smoke hole, no stars again, clouds maybe, or just dust hazing everything. She closed her eyes, tried not to think about water. Failed. Somewhere in the settlement, a child coughed. Dry. Hacking sound. They had 90 days if her math held. If everyone stuck to rations. If no one else got sick. If the weak didn't die faster than calculated. Too many ifs. She sat up. Through her door crack. Movement. Someone walking between dwellings. Too dark to see who. They stopped at the main storage, where tomorrow's water rations waited. The figure bent down. Doing something at the water vessels. Isabella grabbed her knife. Removed the door bar, stepped out silent. The figure straightened, turned. Marcus, holding a full water gourd. 3 days' ration at least. Stealing. Marcus froze. Water gourd in one hand, other hand moving toward his knife. Don't, Isabella said, low, steady. His teeth showed in the darkness. White woman should mind her place. My place is watching those water stores. Same as everyone. Movement behind Marcus. Tomas emerged from shadow. Joseph behind him. They'd been watching, too. Marcus's grip tightened on the gourd. Water sloshed inside. 3 days' ration. Maybe 4. Put it back. Tomas's voice carried no heat. Worse than anger. Flat disappointment. My children need what all children need. Joseph stepped closer. That's why we ration. More people emerged. Word spreading dwelling to dwelling without voices. Maria. Ayana. Others. Forming a circle. Marcus looked around, calculating odds. His shoulders dropped. He set the gourd down. Water had spilled on his hands. He licked his fingers. Desperate. Quick. Before anyone could stop him. 3 days without water for stealing. Ayana spoke in English, making sure Isabella understood. That's death. Marcus's voice cracked. That's law. 2 men took Marcus's arms. He didn't fight. Looked at Thomas instead. Your grandfather would see what you've become, choosing white woman over blood. They led him away. His wife followed, baby on her hip, 2 small boys clutching her skirt. She looked at Isabella. Not anger. Worse, understanding. Her husband was already dead. Tomas turned to the gathered crowd. Anyone else? Silence. Dawn comes in 3 hours. Isabella and I search for the hidden spring. If we find it, problem solved. If not, he didn't finish. Didn't need to. People dispersed. Isabella stayed by the water stores. Her hands shook now that danger had passed. You did right, Maria said. Marcus chose his path. His children didn't. No, but that's not your weight to carry. Isabella wanted to believe her. Couldn't. 3 hours until dawn. She returned to her dwelling. Packed light 1 water gourd, knife, her father's surveying compass he'd hidden in the journal binding, rope from the teaching shelter, cloth for signaling, no sleep, just waiting. Tomas arrived as eastern sky grayed. He carried similar supplies plus the Spanish map. They walked in silence. Past the settlement boundary, past the failed springs, into territory Isabella hadn't seen. The land changed. Red rock gave way to gray granite. Ancient formations wind-carved into shapes that looked deliberate, like architecture, like messages. Sun rose. Temperature climbed fast without clouds. Isabella's lips cracked deeper. She touched them with her tongue. Mistake. Made the cracking worse. Here. Thomas handed her a small pot. Animal fat mixed with something plant-based. She applied it. Relief came quick but temporary. Everything temporary now. They climbed a ridgeline. Isabella's legs burned. Not enough calories for this work. Her body eating itself for fuel. At the ridgetop, Thomas unfolded the map, oriented it with landmarks. A distinctive peak. A valley shaped like a bowl. The Spanish marked water here, he pointed. But that's the dry spring. So either they lied, or what? Or the water moved. Isabella studied the land. Rock layers told stories if you knew how to read them. Father had taught her that. How water carved channels over centuries. How it found new paths when old ones blocked. She pulled out his compass, took a bearing on the marked spring location, then turned 90 degrees, followed the rock strata with her eyes. There. She pointed at a box canyon half a mile north. Water would follow that limestone layer. See the color change. That's where porous rock meets solid. They descended. Loose shale skittered under their feet. Isabella's knee, the scarred one, buckled. Tomas caught her elbow, steadied her. His hand stayed until she found footing. The canyon narrowed as they entered. Walls rose 40 feet on both sides. Temperature dropped 10 degrees in the shade. And the smell changed. Damp. Just barely. But there. Isabella pressed her palm against the canyon wall. Cool. Cooler than it should be. They moved deeper. The canyon turned left. Turned again. Like a maze. Then Tomas stopped. Pointed down. A plant. Green. Not gray-green like drought-adapted plants. True green, a cottonwood seedling. Impossible this far from water. Unless... Isabella knelt, pressed her ear to the ground, listened. Nothing. Then something. Not sound. Vibration. Faint. She started digging, fingers clawing at packed earth. Thomas joined her, 4 hands scooping, scraping. The soil changed, dry to damp, damp to wet, then mud, then water, seeping up, filling the hole. Isabella cupped it, brought it to her lips. Cool, clean, mineral taste, but not bitter. Drinkable. How much? Thomas asked. They dug wider. The seep increased. Not a spring exactly. An underground flow close to surface, fed from somewhere higher, protected from evaporation. Isabella calculated. If we dig a proper well here, line it right, maybe 100 gallons a day. Enough for everyone if we're careful. Thomas sat back on his heels. Mud covered his hands to the elbows. A laugh escaped short, disbelieving. Agua secreta. It's real. Isabella wanted to celebrate. Couldn't. Not yet. We need tools. People. Need to dig this out before... Shouts echoed from the canyon entrance. Multiple voices. Urgent. Tomas stood. Hand on knife again. 3 figures rounded the corner. Joseph. Maria. A young runner. Maybe 15. Chest heaving. Fire! The boy gasped. Settlement. Marcus set fire. The words hit like physical blows. What burned? Tomas already moving. Food stores. Half gone before we stopped it. Isabella's math crumbled. Half the food meant 45 days. Maybe. If they found water today, it wouldn't matter without calories. They ran. Slipping on shale, scraping hands on rock. The box canyon fell behind. Smoke visible before they crested the ridge. Black column rising straight in still air. The settlement looked wrong. The main storage structure gone. Blackened posts standing like bones. Women throwing dirt on smoldering remains. Children carrying water in cups, bowls, anything that held liquid, wasted water. But fire took priority over thirst. Marcus sat tied to a post. Blood ran from his nose. Someone had hit him. Multiple someones, probably. His wife knelt nearby, not crying, just staring at nothing. Ayana stood before him. Burning food is burning lives. You killed us all. We're already dead. Marcus spat blood. Dying slow instead of fast. Isabella surveyed the damage. The beans destroyed. Corn maybe quarter survived. Dried meat gone. She recalculated. 47 people. Remaining food. Water wouldn't matter now. 20 days, she said. Everyone turned to her. That's what's left. 20 days of quarter rations. The spring, someone called out. You found it. Yes, Tomas said. Water problem solved. But not food. Isabella looked at the crowd, hollow eyes, sunken cheeks, bodies already eating themselves. 20 days won't get us to rain. Silence. The kind that came before giving up. Then Ayana spoke. Long stream of Apache. Maria didn't translate, didn't need to. The tone said everything. The old woman walked to her dwelling, returned with a bundle, unwrapped it. Seeds. Dozens of small leather pouches. Emergency planting. Maria translated. Saved for worse time. Seeds need water to grow, Joseph said. And time. Months. We have water now, Tomas said. The hidden spring, but not months. Isabella opened one pouch, corn seeds. Another held beans. Third had something she didn't recognize. What's this? Amaranth. Maria said. Grows fast. 30 days to greens we can eat. 60 to seeds. 30 days. They had 20 days of food, 10-day gap. Isabella stood, brushed ash off her hands, looked at Marcus. You want to die fast? Fine, but you dig first. You help us access that spring, every day until you can't. Marcus laughed, bitter. Why would I? Because your children need 10 more days, and you owe them that. His wife made a sound, not quite word, not quite sob. Marcus looked at his boys, 6 and 4, already thin, getting thinner. Untie me. No, Thomas said. You work tied. Someone always watching. They organized. Fast. No wasted movement. Half the people would dig out the spring, other half would clear land for emergency planting near the water source. Isabella worked beside Tomas, digging, hauling rocks, the sun brutal overhead. Her shadow shortened to nothing, then began to stretch. The spring revealed itself slowly. The underground flow ran stronger than expected. Tomas was right, water had found a new path when the old spring failed. Look! Joseph pointed at the canyon wall. Lines in the rock, old watermarks. This spring had run before, decades ago, maybe centuries. Cycled with drought patterns no one remembered. By sunset, they'd cleared a pool 6 feet across. Water accumulated, clear, cold, enough for everyone to drink full for the first time in weeks. People cried, grown men, hard women, tears mixing with first real drink in memory. Isabella sat apart, watching, calculating. 20 days of food, 30 until amaranth greens, 10-day gap. What would they eat for 10 days? Tomas brought her water, full gourd. She drank half, saved half. Habit now. What are you thinking? About hunger, real hunger, what people do. He sat beside her, close. Their knees touched. In town, that bad winter, a woman ate leather, boiled her shoes, her belt, her husband's saddle. We have leather. Not enough. Maybe 3 days' worth if we boil everything. 7-day gap still. The fire had drawn buzzards. They circled overhead, watching, waiting. Like they knew. Isabella stood, looked at the burnt storage, the gathered people, the seeds that wouldn't grow fast enough. Then she looked at the horses, the few remaining, ribs showing, dying anyway. No, Tomas said, reading her thought. 7 horses, 47 people. Do the math. Horses are meat. They're meat. Or we're dead. The words hung between them. Behind them, Marcus laughed, wild, desperate. White woman wants to eat the horses. See, she brings curses. Isabella turned to face him. I bring math. 7 horses equals 700 pounds of meat. That bridges 10 days. The settlement went quiet. Decision time. Ayana stood, walked to the horse corral, put her hand on the nearest animal, spoke to it, soft words, respectful, then nodded. We eat strength. Maria translated. Take their strength into us. Honor them by living. The vote was quick. Unanimous except Marcus, who didn't get a vote. They'd butcher first horse tomorrow, make it last 3 days, then another, and another, until amaranth grew, until rain came, until something changed. Isabella walked to her dwelling, legs shaking from exhaustion and too much water after too little. At her door, she turned, saw Tomas watching from across the settlement. He nodded once. She nodded back. Tomorrow they'd kill the first horse. Cut it careful. Waste nothing. She went inside, barred the door, lay down. Through the smoke hole, stars finally showed. Clear night. No clouds. No rain coming. Outside, footsteps. stopped at her door. "Isabella." Tomas's voice. Quiet. She sat up. "What?" "Thank you." "For what?" "Suggesting we eat your horses." "For the math." "For seeing what we couldn't." Silence. Then his footsteps moved away. Isabella lay back, closed her eyes. Calculated again. 7 horses, 47 people, 10 days. If everything went perfect, if the meat didn't spoil, if everyone stayed healthy, if the amaranth grew on schedule, if, then faint. So faint she might have imagined it. Thunder. Thunder rolled across the mountains. Real this time, not the phantom sounds of desperate minds. Isabella stood outside her dwelling. 3 a.m., maybe. The air felt different, heavy, electric. Her arm hairs stood upright. Lightning flashed, lit the settlement in stark white. 1 second, 2, 3, 4. Thunder followed, closer than the last one. People emerged from dwellings, silent, afraid to speak, afraid to hope. The wind came first. Not the angry dust wind of drought. This carried moisture. Isabella tasted it. Her cracked lips stung at the humidity. Then a drop. Single. Hit her forehead. Another. Her hand. Another. Her shoulder. The sky opened. Water fell. Not gentle. Not gradual. Violent plenty after violent lack. Sheets of rain that hurt skin made tender by drought. No one moved at first, stood frozen, mouths open, catching drops. Then chaos. Beautiful chaos. Children ran naked into the storm. Adults grabbed every container, pots, bowls, baskets, anything. The lined pool they'd built filled in minutes, overflowed. Isabella stood in the deluge, dress plastered to skin, hair streaming. She extended her hands, palms up, water pooled there, spilled over, pooled again. "You came with nothing but yourself." Tomas stood beside her, rain running off his face. That was everything. She turned to him, water in her eyes, on her lips. Everywhere. "We survived." "No." He took her hands, still extended, still catching rain. "We lived." The rain continued through dawn, steady now, soaking deep into earth that had forgotten moisture. By full daylight, the temporary stream ran through the settlement. Children splashed, adults washed, first real washing in months. The smell of wet earth rose like incense. Marcus sat in the rain, still tied to his post. His wife brought him water in a cup. He drank. She poured more over his head. He closed his eyes. 3 weeks later, amaranth sprouted in neat rows. The horse meat had bridged the gap. All 7 horses, each death honored. Each meal shared exactly equal. The spring they'd found still ran. Insurance against future drought. Isabella taught morning classes again. The children spoke English now. Broken, but improving. Samuel, recovered fully from snakebite. Translated for newer students. Afternoon was medicine work with Ayana. They'd developed a combined approach. Apache knowledge with frontier methods. It worked. Fewer children got sick. Wounds healed cleaner. Evening she kept for herself, usually spent with Tomas, proper distance, always in view of others, but talking, planning, building something unspoken. Marcus had been released after the butchering was done. He'd worked hard, harder than required. His family stayed. His wife spoke to Isabella now, carefully, but spoke. The letter came with autumn traders. Isabella recognized the handwriting. Mr. Hutchins from town. Drought has reached us. She read aloud to Thomas. River running low, people sick, heard rumors you found water. Town council authorized me to offer payment for your expertise. Substantial payment. She folded the letter, looked at Thomas. What will you answer? Isabella found paper in her father's journal, wrote carefully. My worth isn't measured by your need anymore, but I'll send instructions for water conservation. Free, because children shouldn't pay for adult pride. She gave the letter to the traders, included detailed drawings of lined pools, rationing systems, drought plants identification. That night, community feast, first full meal in months, corn, beans, amaranth greens, even piñon nuts gathered from higher elevations. Thomas stood after eating, addressed the gathering in Apache first, then English. Isabella Moore came to us as solution to need. She became Moore, teacher, healer, water finder, bridge between worlds. He turned to her, extended his hand. She stood, took it. In Apache way, man offers woman his protection, promises to provide. Woman offers wisdom, promises to maintain life, both equal, both necessary. He pulled something from his pocket, turquoise on silver, simple, old. This was my grandmother's, her grandmother's before. 7 generations of strong women. Isabella understood. Marriage offer, Apache style. In frontier way, she said. 2 people bind hands, promise to share work, share trouble, share tomorrow. Yes, that's all. 1 word, but his eyes held everything else. Ayana stood, spoke in Apache. Others translated pieces. This woman came empty-handed, proved herself. Water finder, medicine holder, worthy of the bracelet. Vote happened quick, unanimous except Marcus. But even he didn't speak against. They married 2 weeks later. Apache ceremony at dawn, blanket wrapped around both. Ayana singing something ancient. The bracelet on Isabella's wrist caught first light. Frontier ceremony at noon, hands bound with rawhide. Tomas's friends as witnesses. Isabella recited vows she'd written herself. I came with nothing, found everything. I choose to stay, choose to build, choose you. The celebration lasted until dark. Even Marcus danced. Brief, awkward, but present. Their wedding night. Isabella moved into Tomas's dwelling. Larger, better positioned. His wife's things gone but not erased. Small shrine in the corner, respectful. They lay together on the sleeping platform, not touching yet, learning each other's breathing. Scared, he asked. No. Why? Already survived the worst. Everything after is addition, not subtraction. He turned to her then, traced the scar on her knee, the one from falling at the pool. This marks when you became us. No. She caught his hand. This marks when I became myself. 3 years passed. Isabella stood at the teaching shelter. 20 children now. Apache. Mexican. Even 2 white children from traders who'd settled nearby. All learning together. English, Apache, Spanish, mathematics, medicine, how to read the land. Her daughter slept in a cradle board propped against the wall, 2 years old, dark hair, her father's eyes, named Ama, water, born during spring rain. Tomas worked the expanded gardens, corn tall, beans climbing, squash spreading. The hidden spring fed irrigation channels Isabella had designed from her father's surveying knowledge. The settlement had grown, 30 families now, adobe buildings supplemented traditional dwellings, a trading post, a proper school structure. Marcus's family thrived. His oldest boy showed talent for languages, learned from Isabella, would be a translator someday. Marcus himself had become water guardian, protected what he'd once tried to steal. Redemption measured in daily choices. A rider approached. White man, suit despite the heat. Lawyer from town. Miss Moore. Mrs. Redhawk. He adjusted. Your father's estate. Seems he had mining claims. Sold before his death but payment delayed. Substantial sum. Requires your signature. Isabella read the papers. $3,000. Fortune by any measure. What will you do with it? The lawyer asked. She looked at the settlement, the school, the gardens, her daughter, her husband. Build, she said. Just build. The lawyer left confused. Town people always left confused. Couldn't understand choosing here over there. That evening, Isabella and Tomas sat by their door. Amma played with carved animals. The sun set behind mountains turned purple. $3,000, Tomas said. You're rich now. Was always rich. Just measured wrong before. Maria approached. Pregnant again. Moving slow. Letter came, from town. Another drought starting there. Isabella read it. Request for help. Signed by 50 families. Will you go? Maria asked. We'll send instructions. Drawings. Seeds. But not you. Not me. Isabella picked up Amma. The child grabbed her mother's bracelet. 7 generations of strong women. 8 now. My worth isn't portable anymore. It's planted. Here. Rain clouds gathered over the mountains. Evening storm building. The air smelled like possibility. Marcus walked by, nodded, respectful. His boys ran behind him. They called out in mixed language. Apache English hybrid the children had invented. Mrs. Isabella, tomorrow we learn maps. Tomorrow, the boys ran on. Future translators, bridge builders, children of 2 worlds who'd never feel torn between them. Thomas touched her scarred knee. Gentle, their signal. Storm coming? Let it come. They went inside. Amma babbling in 2 languages. Parents answering in both. Outside, rain began. Soft this time, steady, the kind that soaked deep. Fed roots, made things grow, the kind worth waiting for. Isabella looked at her hands. Calloused now, competent, still empty of coins, full of everything else. Full enough. More than enough. Perfect as they were. Isabella's story reached me through my grandmother's journal, found in an estate sale in Flagstaff. The pages yellowed, water-stained, but the words clear. She'd known Isabella in those final years. Watched her teach children who became senators, doctors, interpreters. Witnessed a woman who arrived with empty hands build bridges that still stand. We measure worth wrong. Always have. Count coins instead of courage. Weigh possession over purpose. Isabella knew better. Knew that surviving poverty teaches what abundance never can. How to stretch nothing into something. How to find water in stone. How to recognize another person's hungry eyes because you've worn them yourself. Her daughter Amma became a teacher too. Taught my grandmother. Who taught my mother? Who taught me? Not just English or Apache or the mathematics of survival. Taught that worth lies in what you give, not what you grasp. That empty hands hold more than full fists. That being too poor for one world might mean being perfectly rich for another. Some nights, when drought threatens and division deepens, I remember Isabella choosing to stay, choosing to build, proving that bridges between worlds get built one person, one choice, one extended hand at a time. Disclaimer: this is a work of fiction created solely for entertainment purposes. The story, characters, and events portrayed are entirely products of imagination and do not represent real persons, living or deceased. This narrative does not condone, promote, or encourage any form of violence, discrimination, or harmful behavior toward any individual or group. Any resemblance to actual persons, places, or events is purely coincidental. The historical and cultural elements are fictional interpretations and should not be considered factual representations of any real communities, peoples, or time periods.